to include the minutes of the special committee meeting that was held on November 29th. And I move the minutes as amended.
But they include, by the way, the minutes from November.
Yeah, they're right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So just make sure that the minutes of this meeting reflect that the minutes of October 25th are inclusive of the minutes of November 25th.
Have a motion?
I'd move it.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't here the 25th.
But there has to be a second. Is someone second?
There's a motion, we need a second.
I wasn't here for the 25th.
We had a committee. The minutes are. But you read the minutes. Yeah, we had a committee. We convened as a committee.
That's second.
I wasn't for it.
Well,
Or
then,
abstain.
do we have? Okay, yeah, we have a vote.
All right. Chairperson Martinetti, Commissioner Farrell.
Yes.
I wasn't here, I wasn't present for that committee portion of the meeting. So I'll go yes on the minutes with an abstention on that and my normal abstention.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Farrell?
Yes.
Commissioner DiMartinez? Commissioner Gutierrez?
Myself,
Commissioner
I
Royal?
wasn't here for the 25th.
Okay. And Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, the financial report.
I just want to inform the board of something that happened just as we speak. The annual audit, which is mandated by the federal government, will take place at the beginning of January. That is for the fiscal year 2012. We submit the entire information, all the financial reports. They already approved it. Now it's time to submit the FDS, which is the whole picture of the financial position of the housing authority to the federal government. That's one thing. The other picture will be here, maybe in the second week of January. And the other information I'd like to provide is that I believe it was 2 months ago, the minutes will reflect that we appointed a commissioner on behalf of the housing authority and the board for the board of the insurance company that we have. And that was Jose Alba. The chairman was concerned if there was any expenses affiliated with appointing Jose to that. And there was no expenses, but there was some good news. Our premium, our annual premium, is not just the premium. It's not just an insurance expense. It's an investment as well. It's an investment that we've been getting some good dividends for the last, I would say, 10 years. But this year we got the highest dividend because of the performance that we have, all the vehicles that this company uses to invest our money. And also for the good job that Walter is doing with the maintenance department, avoiding any incidents with employees or the tenants. And this year, for the first time, we reached the mark of $20,000, almost $28,000 for the dividends for the year 2011. So those monies that go against the insurance expenses, and that's basically the good news for the end of the year, for 2012. That's all I have to say today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments on that? All right. If we go to resolution 2012-16, that's the first one of the resolutions. Back in beginning of October, we wrote off $19,000 in uncollected funds write-offs. This resolution is to write off $844 from one of our residents.
I'm sorry. Where is that resolution?
The resolution is up back. Thank you. It's the last one, the one in the back. 1216.
Thank you.
And 845, you usually lump all this together, but this lady came in at the last time that we're writing it off, and Rafael needs that to close the book and, get that off the liability, the write-off. So I need a vote on that to write that off in addition to the other one.
A motion?
Nobody wanted to.
So we're adding this 844
That was
To the one that we write off the 19,000, whatever it was, 100 something, exactly, for this year, for the
and that makes
fiscal year.
And that makes the total how much?
For this year,
For the year.
20,000 odd, slowly.
What was her rent per month?
What was the rent?
I don't know what her rent was, but this is a transfer. We put her in veterans housing, and because she had a problem with her son here, and the only way they couldn't do it in a 1 month period, so that's the only reason that we had to write up that 844.
I could get you that amount.
But we have,
How many months?
I'll make-
Second.
Second.
Okay. Do roll call, Chairperson Martinez.
Yes.
Commissioner Barra.
Yes.
Commissioner DeMartinez.
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Yes.
Commissioner Arroyo. Yes. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, resolution 2012-14.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss resolution 14 and 15.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Do you have a copy of the agenda?
No.
Yeah. We can get that to you.
Yeah, we're going to executive session, they have to go out, people have to leave.
Yes, sir.
We only have one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
public has to leave the room during executive session.
We return to public session.
I'll second.
Okay, do roll call, Chairperson Martinetti.
Yes.
Commissioner Farah. Commissioner DeMartinez. Yes. Commissioner Gutierrez.
Yes.
Commissioner Arroyo. Yes. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, now that we're in public session, I'd like to announce that resolution.
Well, why don't we let the
Well, we need
executive
to-
director or secretary read in the resolutions?
No, we have to
I'll
do,
take the roll.
well, we have to do 14 first, which is to announce that at the request of the council, it has
Right,
been
has been withdrawn.
withdrawn.
Yeah, that's resolution 20, what was it?
Dash 14.
2014, right, to increase the capital 10,000. That was withdrawn by the attorney who presented a
And then on resolution 2012-15, I make a motion that we award the legal contract for a 1-year term, effective 2015-12 to 2014-13 to Mr. Julio Morejon.
Okay, second. Teresa?
Yes.
Second. Okay, do roll call, Chairperson Martinetti.
I'm personally going to recuse on this matter because I would like to see what HUD's guidance is when it comes to awarding legal services or any other contracts in this matter. I have not seen anything in writing. I recommended we hold our current council over for a special meeting because I would like to see how we shall proceed or how HUD recommends we proceed in awarding. I just want to make sure that the members are protected, all our ducks are in order, and when it comes to awarding the legal contract, it's done in compliance with HUD regulations. So myself, not seeing the regulations in front of me, I'm going to recuse on this matter.
Okay, Commissioner Farah, you second, right?
Yes.
You vote yes. Commissioner DeMartinez? Yes. Commissioner Gutierrez?
Yes.
Commissioner Arroyo? Yes. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Morejon?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for accepting my contract and thank you for having faith in me. I have a year to be with you and earn your trust further and do the best job I can. As you know, I'm a resident of Union City and even played in these projects, as we used to call them growing up. So, hometown boy, and I'll be very proud to serve you and do right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Is there any other business the board would like to present? Mr. Chairman. This is the public. Okay, we'll open it to the public. Okay, now since it's open to the public and there's a lot of people here, I guess I want to address something.
Yeah, Mr. Cavell, if I may take the floor. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Dixon. I've been asked to represent a Union City Concerned Citizens Group on...
Yes, state address also.
Yeah, I'll state it. My office address in New York is 116 West 23rd Street, New York, zip code 10011. I'm also registered as a member of the Bar of the State of New Jersey, and I'm currently looking for office space out here.
What's your home address, Mr. Dixon?
I'd like to inquire with the board. I don't mind providing that, but
Correct.
I don't see why, as a member of the public, that I need to provide my home address.
Okay.
I'm happy to inquire, but it's
fine.
something
It's just,
where...
other boards I've been on, it's always customary to have you.
Well, customary is one thing, necessary is something else.
Okay.
The fact is, I'm very public with my activities here in New Jersey as well and in New York. A couple of things. One of the issues that were brought up a couple of weeks ago in the meeting that was held, I believe, on November 29th, 2012, was the issue of the procedures followed in 2010 in terms of the selection of legal counsel for the authority. And I bring them up again insofar as they're probative of the procedures going forward. Mr. Martinelli just made reference to HUD guidelines as to why, I guess, I'm sorry? Martinetti, I'm sorry. As to HUD guidelines for the selection of counsel. One of those guidelines pertains to character and fitness of counsel that are selected in other professionals. In my research, in my investigation of prior counsel, I discovered that prior counsel was an admitted federal felon who pled guilty in 1999 to the federal felony of obstruction of justice. But nonetheless, this was a factor that maybe it was or was not disclosed, but this was someone who was selected in 2010, despite certain, I think, curious facts. First of all, in 2010, there was really a two-stage process, apparently, where in the first stage, it was Mr. Murata and another firm. The other firm graded higher. It graded something like 120 points higher on this scale, and it was also a lower bid in terms of price. Nonetheless, and in addition, it seems that there was some sort of subcommittee or special committee that chose the other firm, and that I've seen minutes where I believe only 2 members of this special committee approved or recommended that the other firm be selected. I believe Mr. Martinetti was also listed, but abstained on that vote. But that the selection...
I'm from that matter.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's why I
Thank you for the clarification. Well, apparently in this round 1, we had another attorney selected or recommended, and then that recommendation was not followed, so that then there was a new process, a new bid put out for these services. 6 attorneys or 6 firms then submitted bids, and finally, after all of that, in the second round, there was no point system used, or at least there's no documentation to show that there was a point system used, and that again the lowest bidder was not selected, and that Mr. Murata did survive this 2-step process despite the facts that I've brought out. So it raises questions. It's also been provided with documentation about some minutes involving a Mr. Corbin, who was also recommended in 2010, but that apparently did not survive the cut. All of this gets to the point of questions as to the propriety of the procedures, and from a policy standpoint, the propriety of how professionals were selected, especially since counsel is not only receiving federal funds through HUD, but is basically charged with collecting and making sure that the authority is run properly in terms of the fiscal propriety of the organization. So these are the issues that I'd like to bring up. And finally, just because there was a caucus that lasted almost 1 hour just now, I would just lodge an inquiry, if not a complaint, as to whether that's in compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, because the public business has been recognized by the New Jersey Supreme Court to be the public's business. And there are certain exclusions under OPMA that justify certain reasons why an organization can go into closed session. But I fail to see what the pressing business is, whether there's anything that's attorney-client privilege, any justification for why there was a 45 to 60-minute caucus where apparently the public business was conducted, and where there was probably a deliberative process that I think should have been open to the public. So I would just lodge that complaint in addition with the other factors that I've put in. And it also raises questions, since we are in Union City, as to whether there is some sort of undue political influence, since the prior attorney, when I check ELEC, both he and his son show up as having given thousands of dollars in campaign contributions to the political committee of the Union City Mayor, Brian Stack. And it's also a case where one of the board members, Mr. Martinetti, is not just a member and chairman of this board before the authority, but in my research has about 5 or 6 different appointments, all of which appointments have been made by Mayor Stack, and in addition has a wife who is also a commissioner, and one of those other 6 positions basically is connected to one of the county freeholders, who is also a city commissioner. So you have all these this is what I'm calling insider baseball. All of this should be disclosed. All of this is the public's business. And it just raises questions in the public mind, given everything that I've investigated and researched and discovered. So that's my statement. I'd like to see if anyone's got questions as to the facts. I'm done, thank you.
Okay. Your name, sir?
How you doing? My name is Charles Pratt. For the record, I'd just like to say I reside in Union City on 240th Street. As you can see, this is a file of things as a resident within myself. I live here so many years, and I never got a chance, not even to be able to come into this place as a meeting, as a citizen of the United States, and testify of all the things that's so wrong. I honestly feel it going on in Union City, but nobody to believe my true story. I'm sorry, I know this is a meeting for the housing, but I feel like this is my right time to come in and state, because I do live in Union City on 40th Street in a housing apartment where I live at. And I have the right as an Afro-American person to speak my opinion too, as living in the city of this town here. I've been discriminated, I've been abused, harassed, and discriminatory by the police department of Union City. I've been almost tempted rape by one of the officers out of the Union City Police Department, which is a lieutenant. They cover up everything.
Can we keep this to business relevant to the housing authority?
Yes.
Any criminal complaints
Yes.
you have can
I'm
be
sorry.
forwarded to the city
I apologize for that. I
police
apologize,
department.
but I will keep it on that level because I know this is concerning housing. But I just like to bring this to y'all attention, and I will be forwarding my next meeting to whatever meeting that concerns the citizens of Union City have the right, and I'd like y'all to be able to invite me. My name is Charles Moore Pratt. Please, if y'all can invite me, and so y'all can be filled in on all these concerns that I have, and I know that y'all seem like some very concerned citizens as well, that make sure the town is going the right in the correct order that it should go in, and the way that has been going, to my knowledge of finding facts and finding of my discovery of Union City, this needs to be discovered. And this is a true fact, and it needs to be brought to the attention of the town.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any issues with housing? Let's take to housing issues.
Housing, absolutely. My name is Frank Alonzo. I live at 126 19th Street in Union City. I'm going to go back a little bit to some of the comments that the attorney made. I have a question. On or about October 5th of 2010, to be clarified, 4 petitions were picked up to apply for counsel for this board. On October 19th, only 2 were submitted and returned. Okay. Mr. Chairman, would you know why only 2 of those applications of 4 that were picked up were only returned?
No, I was not aware of 4 picked up. I can answer that.
Based on the record, 4 were picked up based on the paper provided. In my opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, the reason why only 2 were picked up were because it was clear from the members that were picked up, because two of the four people that were picked up were, one was Ledesma and Diaz, Mr. Murata, McMahon in Scotland, which I don't know if you guys know who McMahon in Scotland is. It is the 14th most powerful law firm in the state of New Jersey. And also picked up by John Lynch, who I happen to think is the best attorney this county has, and I'm a little biased because he's my attorney, so I know he picked up as well. And they weren't returning. In my opinion, I think they did not return them because they were called and told not to file because they didn't have a shot at the contract for this board, clearly. Okay, and again, it's a matter of opinion, Mr.
I would like
Director.
to clear something. You just made a statement that they called. Was anyone from this authority made those calls?
I'm not saying this authority. I never
Well,
said
I
this
just wanna be
authority. I
clear on
never
that
said this authority.
for the
Mr. Director.
record.
I do apologize for you. I never said this authority. I'm sure they were called and told not to apply. Mr. Chairman, I have a question for you. On October 25th, did you receive a recommendation from a committee impaneled by Rafael Natera, Jose Alba, and Pedro Gonzalez reviewing two proposals submitted to this board? Both proposals, one being Mr. Ledesma Diaz and the other one Mr. Murata.
What year?
The year was on October 25th, 2010. I have the document of you.
I recused from that matter, so I was not involved in the selection process.
Okay, so you didn't.
And as you can see on the vote, it was an abstention.
Okay, so you didn't receive that.
No.
Okay, all right. So my question would be, well, this board received a letter, and I'm going to read the letter into record, just as fact. I'm sure you all have it, but again, you don't have it handy, so I'll read it into fact. Decisions of minutes. On the date with all members present, the committee reviewed two proposals submitted for legal services. On 10/19, based on the proposal submitted by Libero Murata, Esquire, Ledesma Diaz Lopez Norris, PC,
Could you clarify the year?
October 25th, 2010. The following requirements set forth in the RFP, the committee determined that Ledesma Diaz Lopez Norris was the best qualified to provide legal services for this authority. And they also continue to say that Mr. Murata failed to provide this board and this authority with HUD Form 5369C and 5369B, and also an annual fee amount that they would be charging, but yet we continued to not listen to your committee, okay, and go for a second round. On the second round, the former impaneled committee was not there. So my question to you, Mr. Chairman, do you know whose idea it was to hire an attorney to impanel a committee to get more attorneys or firms to apply?
I don't recall.
You don't recall.
It was taken as a consensus amongst the board that they felt more comfortable with representation, especially when it has to do with contracts, and making sure they're in compliance with HUD guidelines.
Okay. With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, you really don't need an attorney to have a board. An attorney does legal matter, doesn't deal with day-to-day business operation of this federal office.
Well, the board members, from what I recall, felt more comfortable having legal counsel because they did not have any counsel involved.
That's great. So you give me a great segue to my next question. So you clearly state that it was not your idea to hire counsel to impanel a second round committee, correct?
I think it was a collective decision on the
It was a
board, from what
collective
I
decision.
recall.
So if I go around this room, I need to know, as a taxpayer, who came up with the idea or determination of a law firm should be acquired and an attorney should be acquired to impanel a committee to choose an attorney.
Excuse me. I could speak for myself.
Okay.
As a member of the board. I personally felt more comfortable having an attorney.
Okay.
What legal representation the attorney provided to the board, you'd have to ask the attorney.
Right. But
I
that
recused
wasn't,
on the matter
Okay.
after
Right, I
making
saw the-
sure,
yes, okay.
after the attorney was put in place.
but that's not my question, Mr.
Right, so
Arnett,
what is your
I
question?
do party. I want to know who on this board made the decision to hire a firm to have an attorney to impanel a committee. You haven't gotten legal representation yet because you went for a second round of votes. I want to know if this board, and I can go around the room and ask every member of the
Well,
board.
you can research the records and always show it on the vote,
But,
on the agenda.
but that's not the vote. My question is, whose idea was it to hire a firm? So I'll give you a perfect example. The firm that was hired was the firm of Lamparello. Whose idea was it to go to Lamparello? Or, you know, whose idea was it to go to Lamparello? Why didn't you go to Mr. Morahone? I'm going to use you as an example because you're sitting here next to me. Or Mr. Dixon, who was another. Who made the decision to go to Lamparello's law firm? What member of this board? Because obviously this board voted on it. So, I mean, I need to know.
I don't recall at this moment.
You don't recall at this moment. So I'm gonna obviously step forward with my attorney, Oprah meeting minutes from that meeting because I want to request who came up with the idea.
Yeah, you're asking something happened years ago.
Well, again, it's really pertinent, Mr. Martinelli, because we're spending taxpayers' dollars very freely without asking the taxpayers. Unfortunately, it's sad. So my other question would be, so we went ahead and hired the firm of Lamparello, because every member of this vote voted to hire the firm of Lamparello, who provided Mr. Coben, I want to pronounce his name correctly. Mr. Coben served as an attorney, an advisory attorney to this board to impanel a committee to hire legal representation to the board. So what really concerns me more, and that would be document 2 that I can read into the record if you guys clearly don't have it in front of you and I want to be a fair person. Clearly, the attorney that was hired to impanel a committee, oddly, served as a committee member. Because on December 8th, 2010 at 11 a.m. in an open publics meeting, Mr. Coben, Esquire, member of a committee, Mr. Waldo Maureen, member of a committee, Jose Alba, bid opener, okay, voted to change your RFP to what they made a mistake because they called it an RFP again, but it's really called an RFQ because it's under $150,000, okay, and we chose to open the bid to more firms to come in, but scary that the firms that come in all came in under and had HUD experience, under in value of price what they were charging this organization, and also had HUD experience that Mr. Murata failed to have. And this board felt very comfortable voting for that. So, but my question is a little more concerning. We passed this, I'm going to call it a resolution for lack of a better term, with only 2 members. Well, we have a vacant spot. I need to know who that third member was because it becomes illegal. It becomes really illegal, and honestly, I would love to get that answer because honestly, I don't want to have to get the answer from the Federal Inspector General from Newark or Washington. I want to make it easy for all of us. I mean, as board members, you are all fiduciary responsibility to the federal government, to the state government, and to the municipal government. So quite frankly, if you're making decisions on money and you don't know what you're voting on, you're all inept and substandard. And that's a problem. So, Mr. Chairman, do you abstain from me to asking Mr. Moore a question?
I would like the executive director to answer
Mr.
the questions.
Director,
Because
okay,
myself, I
perfect.
would recuse, and I'm not familiar with...
Okay,
the
so my
selection
question
process
would be,
in
and
state.
the reason why I would ask Mr. Moran is because Mr. Moran was a member on this new second round
As I stated, you
committee.
could direct the questions for the executive director.
Mr. Director, do you know how these committee members were impaneled? How they were chosen and elected?
No, I don't.
You don't know. Okay, Mr. Chairman, can you respond to that question for me? How is this committee, this second round of committee that was called for an attorney, hired or appointed?
I would recused on that matter. I'm not familiar.
Okay, Mr. Moran, how were you chosen to be a committee member on this board, on this committee? My apology. A committee that was impaneled by Mr. Corbin, you, a blind person, and Mr. Jose Alba.
May I, through the chair, Mr. Alonso, what I would suggest you do is, obviously you have questions and concerns which sound legitimate to me. What I would suggest you do is to write to to the executive director, copy our new counsel, and have them respond to your questions in writing. Because we could be here. We could be here.
As a taxpayer, I have that right to know.
I understand that, but we could be here all night, and it's not fair to these commissioners nor to staff to be blindsided with these questions, which are legitimate. I'm not saying they're not legitimate.
So it's fair to the taxpayer to spend our tax dollars and abuse this federal government?
I'm saying they're legitimate concerns, legitimate questions, but there's a proper process for this. I would advise you to submit a letter in writing to the executive director and copy our counsel, and I'm sure they will be more than happy to respond to you in writing.
Well, I have submitted a letter, and it's been more than 8 weeks that this board has refused to give me open public records. And the reason why I have these public open records that I am reading off is that I got them from someone else who sued this board who got them and was able to provide them for me. So really, I am reading off of legal documents that were provided from this board, and this board has refused to answer my question, how we are spending federal funds.
I understand.
I beg to differ.
And as a board member, I am concerned that your questions haven't been answered, that it's taken this long for your open request to be replied to. Again, we have new counsel. I'm sure that Mr. Morejon will do everything in his power to expedite a response.
I do apologize that you feel like you guys want to go home, but you guys were placed in this
not that we want to go home.
And you took an oath to follow the law. Sorry, I just want Mr. Morin to answer my question. Who appointed him on the second round to be a member of that committee?
Mr. Holmes, again, Mr. Mora is a employee of the board. Questions of that nature.
But he was a committee member.
They should be addressed to the executive director and to our counsel, and will be.
Well, I have asked the executive director, and he was unable to answer me. Mr. Chairman was unable to answer me, so I feel Mr. Morin, who voted to spend the taxpayers' dollars,
nobody's.
But he was a committee member who made the appointment.
Pose your question in writing, and it'll be responded.
I have put the question in writing, Mr. Martinetti, and it hasn't been responded because you, as the chairman, has failed to provide that to me.
I have never received your request.
This board has received it, Mr. Director has received it, and Mr. Attorney has received it, and I have been refused. And my attorney has filed suit, and I will tomorrow file suit with the federal government, letting them know that you are failing to comply and do your job as the chairman of this board. It is quite unfortunately, Mr. Martinelli, and with all due respect to you, with all due respect, I believe you don't know because you wear so many hats that you are completely removed and don't know what's going on the board that you're chairing.
That's your opinion, and everybody's
okay. It's really unfortunate that this is taking place, and our federal funding is being spent frugalously, wastefully, and unthoughtfully, and no one in this board has no answer for the taxpayers. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And with all due respect, Mr. Director, I asked you, and you didn't know or don't recall how this second round committee was impaneled. But yet we granted an attorney who is a felon, okay, was a higher bidder, did not have the qualifications to represent this board, and we felt comfortable hiring him. How is that possible? And no one on this board has the capabilities of responding to me. It is absurd and ridiculous. With all due respect to you, because you have been a director for many years, but it's quite inept that nobody has an answer. And people who vote on a committee can't tell me how they got on the committee. Well, guess what? When I was appointed a tax commissioner, I know I was appointed by the county chairman, and I was signed off by the governor. So I knew who appointed me. So I have the question, who appointed him? No one can tell me. He can't answer who appointed him. It's sad.
Excuse me.
Really sad. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? No
Mr. Doris, I just want to address what Mr. I'm sorry, your name again?
Dixon.
Dixon.
Yeah.
He mentioned that about the executive session. Based on what, and I have the Open Public Meetings Act in front of me, based on what I'm reading and based on my knowledge and my experience, I think that we were totally within the law. However, I would, through the chairman, ask our new counsel to review and to report back to us. If we did anything that we shouldn't have done during the executive session, we will address that at our next meeting. I think we did everything that we are required to do under the law, but again, I would ask our new counsel to review that for our next meeting. Yes, I know that, and it's clearly stated in, but I'm not going to go into the legal issues here, but I'll let that counsel
Let the council
address this.
Anyone else from the public? That's it. All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call. Chairperson Martinelli.
Yes.
Commissioner Farah.
Yes.
Commissioner DeMartini.
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Yes.
Commissioner Arroyo.
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you.